Lord Byron was one of the most famous poets in England. His full name was George Gordon Byron, and he was born on January the 22nd, 1788, in London. Byron became one of the leading figures of the Romantic movement in literature, and his life and poems have influenced generations of writers, artists, and thinkers. His work is still widely read today, and many people continue to study his poems and the impact he had on literature. Although he lived a short life, Byron left behind a large number of poems, letters, and other writings that reveal his character and ideas. Byron's early life was filled with challenges. His father, Captain John Byron, was a soldier who had a difficult personality. He spent a lot of money and left the family when Byron was just a baby. His mother, Catherine Gordon Byron, was Scottish and had a strong, difficult character. She did not get along well with her husband, and after he left, she struggled to raise her son. Despite these struggles, she made sure that Byron had the best education possible. He was often sent to different schools, including the famous Harrow School, where he was known for his intelligence and talent in writing. When Byron was young, he had a limp because he was born with a deformed foot. He was often teased by other children, but this did not stop him from pursuing his interests. He was a keen reader and developed a deep love for literature. He was especially interested in Greek and Roman mythology, as well as the works of famous poets and philosophers. Byron's love for poetry began at Harrow, where he started writing his first poems. His talent was clear, and his teachers encouraged him to continue writing. After finishing school, Byron went to Cambridge University. At Cambridge, he began to gain more recognition for his writing. He joined literary clubs and became friends with other students who were passionate about poetry and writing. He also developed a love for classical literature, which would influence much of his later work. During his time at Cambridge, Byron began to understand that he wanted to become a famous poet and make a name for himself in the world of literature. In 1809, when Byron was 21 years old, he published his first book of poems, called Hours of Idleness. The book was a collection of poems that Byron had written during his early years, but it was not very successful at first. Critics were not impressed by the book, and some even made fun of it. Byron responded to the criticism by writing another poem, English Bards and Scotch Reviewers, which was published in 1809. This poem was a strong attack on the critics who had written negative reviews about his first book. It was full of sharp humor and clever insults. The poem gained Byron more attention and helped him become better known as a poet. He was no longer just an unknown writer, but someone whose work could not be ignored. Byron's next major work was Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, which was published in 1812. This poem made him famous. It tells the story of a young man named Harold, who travels to different countries in search of meaning in his life. Throughout his journey, Harold reflects on the beauty of nature, the past, and the struggles of life. Byron used the poem to express his own feelings about the world and his place in it. Childe Harold's Pilgrimage was praised for its vivid descriptions of the places Harold visited, and it made Byron one of the most popular poets of his time. The poem was also important because it marked the beginning of Byron's transition from a poet who was influenced by the classical traditions to one who was more focused on individual emotions and personal experiences. After the success of Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, Byron's fame grew even more. He became a celebrity, known not just for his poetry, but also for his adventurous lifestyle. He traveled to many countries, including Portugal, Spain, Italy, and Greece. His travels helped shape his writing, and many of his poems are filled with descriptions of the landscapes, cities, and people he encountered. Byron was also known for his passionate and dramatic personality. He was often seen as a man who lived on the edge, taking risks and challenging the rules of society. His relationships with women were often the subject of scandal, and he became known as a bad boy of literature. Despite his fame and success, Byron had a complicated relationship with his own identity. He struggled with feelings of isolation and frustration, which he expressed in his poetry. One of his most famous works, Don Juan, is a long, humorous poem about a young man named Don Juan who has many adventures in life. The poem is full of witty commentary on love, society, and the nature of human relationships. Byron used Don Juan to explore the complexities of love, fame, and human behavior. Unlike many other writers who idealized love and romance, Byron's portrayal of Don Juan is playful and ironic. The poem was groundbreaking because it challenged traditional views of love and relationships. In addition to Don Juan, Byron wrote many other important works during his lifetime. Manfred 1817 is a dramatic poem about a man named Manfred who is searching for redemption. The poem is filled with intense emotions and explores themes of guilt, pride, and the desire for freedom. The Juror 1813, The Corsair 1814, and Lara 1814 are all works that focus on themes of adventure, revenge, and the power of individual will. These works made Byron one of the most influential writers of his time. Byron's life was not just about writing poetry. He was also deeply involved in politics and social causes. One of the most important moments in his life came when he went to Greece to help the Greeks fight for their independence from the Ottoman Empire. Byron was deeply moved by the struggle of the Greek people and decided to give his money and his time to support their cause. He even joined the Greek army and fought alongside the soldiers. Sadly, Byron became ill while in Greece and died on April 19, 1824, at the age of 36. His death was a huge shock to the world, and many people mourned the loss of such a talented and passionate writer. Despite his relatively short life, Byron's impact on literature and the world was immense. His work inspired many other writers, including Percy Bysshe Shelley and John Keats, who were also part of the Romantic movement. Byron's style of writing, which combined emotion, imagination, and a love of nature, was revolutionary at the time. He broke away from the formal style of writing that had dominated English poetry for centuries and created a new, more personal way of writing. His work also helped to shape the Romantic movement, which emphasized the importance of individual expression, freedom, and the beauty of the natural world. Today, Lord Byron is still considered one of the greatest poets in English literature. His works continue to be studied in schools and universities around the world. Byron's poems are full of beautiful descriptions, deep emotions, and thoughtful reflections on life. His legacy lives on through his poetry, and his life continues to inspire people to think deeply about love, freedom, and the world around them. Byron may have been born in London on January 22, 1788, but his life and work reach far beyond his birthplace. His adventures, his poems, and his powerful words continue to resonate with readers and scholars to this day.